So I've always wondered why large tenants don't actually own their buildings. That Starbucks, that CVS, the Dollar General you see when you're driving down the road, they don't actually own their building, but they lease those buildings. And I did some homework and I talked to some of these operators and I asked them why they never own their building. And the answers would actually surprise you. Hi, my name is Matthew. I'm a commercial real estate investor and broker based out of Southern California, and I buy commercial property all over the country. So for example, you're driving down the road, you see that typical standalone Starbucks, and normally you think Starbucks would own this building, but the reality is they almost always lease, especially Starbucks. And the reason might surprise you. So there's a couple reasons why they do it, but the first one is that Starbucks is not in the real estate business. They are in the coffee business. So in order to go out and buy a building and build it out for them and spend all that money upfront buying a building, they could use that same money and go open four, five, six stores within a specific city. Their capital is better used going out there and opening more stores than it is putting a down payment on a building. That's the first thing. It's like they're not going to tie up all their capital because they make a strong return on capital from actually opening more stores. The second, and probably the biggest reason why that they don't actually buy their buildings is flexibility. Starbucks wants to be able to be nimble. Okay. And Starbucks is just one example, Same thing with the CVS you see all over town. You CVS's, Walgreens, all of those. They for the most part, they don't actually own their building. So this one's paying $210,000 a year in rent. Okay. The point is that CVS, Starbucks, Dollar General, they need to be nimble. They need to be able to move, relocate, take more square footage, take less square footage. If they own all this real estate all over the country and they decide that they want to do a smaller model, let's say CVS comes out of nowhere and decides we want to do smaller storefronts and make more revenue in a smaller store, they would have to now sell thousands and thousands of pieces of real estate. But because they lease, they can now say, hey, our lease expires in 10 years. We're not going to renew because we're going to move to a smaller space. So it actually gives them a lot of flexibility by leasing rather than purchasing. Now they can also go down the street and open a CVS on a smaller footprint and try it out. See, all that flexibility that we're talking about, whether you're expanding, whether you're resizing your space, whether you decide that a city you don't want to operate in anymore. So now you can go and close down in that city. You don't get that flexibility if you own the building. Even on longer leases, at the end of your lease, you can do whatever you want. When you buy the building, especially in a down market, it can be very difficult to unload that building. Another thing is the building, you may have purchased the building at one price and now you're in the building, you vacate the building, and now the building's worth less. It's very hard to carry real estate on your balance sheet ancillary to your primary business. A notable exception here that I think is worth mentioning is McDonald's. They are one of the largest real estate owners in the country, and they're actually more in the real estate business than they are in the burger business. So what they do is they own lots and pieces of real estate all over the country. Most McDonald's are actually owned by corporate McDonald's. So therefore, as that land becomes worth more over time, McDonald's balance sheet just continues rising with all the prime locations that they own around the country. So that is a notable example. But for the most part, most stores that you see, most especially the standalone ones, they tend to always be rented. What's commonly referred to in the industry as the single tenant net lease property. So this, for example, this Dollar General, I don't know where it is, but they're sprinkled all over the country. This Dollar General is a single tenant net lease building. They're paying $114,000 a month in rent. Now, in order to go out and buy this building, it could be 700, 800, 900,000. They have to put several hundred thousand down, and they'll still have a big payment due to the bank. So they've decided that in order to, Dollar General can't come out and say, I want to open 100 stores if they own every single one of the buildings. It makes it difficult. So flexibility, being able to move around, and then the other option, it really just comes down to where is their money best served? Is their money best served buying the real estate, or is their money best served focusing on their core business? Whether it's Dollar Tree, it's selling cheap crap. Whether it's CVS, it's front store, it's the pharmacy. Like that's what they focus on, marketing and increasing their products and retention per customer. And then for Starbucks, obviously it's coffee. And they're better off spending that money focusing on advertising their coffee and opening up several locations than putting large down payments on real estate. Once you kind of hear their side of the story, it actually makes a lot of sense on why they lease instead of purchase. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Quick explanation on why large corporations choose to lease where they operate rather than purchase the building. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I will catch you guys on the next one.